Question 1. Tpioliuo. Most favored nation principle in situation where formal requirements conflict with the principles of fairness. Member state enacts new tariff structure that imposes higher duties on imports from specific countries while maintaining lower duties for others. The government justifies this by arguing that the higher duties are necessary due to historical imbalances in trade relationships. An affected country challenge Measure W rules, arguing it violates the most favored nation (MFN) principle. Which of the following statements best describes how a dispute settlement body would likely rule? A. The measure is permissible because states have sovereign discretion in tariff adjustments based on historical trade imbalances. B. The measure violates the MFN principle unless the state can justify under recognized exception such as security or environmental concerns. C. The measure is valid under the W's flexibility provisions, allowing for trade corrections to address past economic injustices. D. The measure does not violate MFN principle because it applies to specific economic sector rather than across all industries. Answer. B. The measure violates the MFN principle unless the state can justify under a recognized exception such as security or environmental concerns. Explanation. The most favored nation MFN principle under Article I of the General Agreement on Tariffs and Trade (GATT) requires W member states treat all trading partners equally regarding tariffs and trade benefits. The fact that a country imposes higher on some nations while keeping them low for others constitutes discriminatory treatment unless justified under a Voldalu exception. Why? B. is correct. The ULIO allows exceptions to MFN treatment under specific circumstances such as national security, Article of GATT, or environmental protection, Article of GATT. However, historical trade imbalances do not qualify as a recognized exception. The rules YA is incorrect. LU members do not have unilateral discretion to impose tariffs on a discriminatory basis unless justified under the agreement. Sovereignty does not override treaty commitments. YC is incorrect. W rules do not recognize economic injustices as a valid reason to discriminate in tariff application. Corrective measures must be handled through negotiations or dispute resolution, not unilateral actions. YD is incorrect. The MFN principle applies broadly to all like products, meaning discrimination within a sector still counts as a violation unless justified. This ruling aligns the LU ACE law including IC. Tariff preferences 2000 of where W rules that preferential tariffs must be justified under recognized exception. Question 2. Topic: International sale of goods. CISC and breach of contract during major transformation where existing methods of enforcement are under review. An exporter in Germany and an importer in Canada sign contract governed by the United Nations Convention on Contracts for the International Sale of Goods (CISC). The contract specifies delivery by April 1, but the goods arrive on April 10 due to an unexpected supply disruption. The buyer refuses to accept the delivery, citing fundamental breach under CISC. Under CISC rules, is the buyer justified in rejecting the goods? A. Yes, because any delay in delivery constitutes fundamental breach under CISC. B. No, unless the delay substantially deprives the buyer of what they were entitled to expect under the contract. C. Yes, because CISC allows termination for any breach of contract unless otherwise agreed by the parties. D. No, because late delivery is never considered fundamental breach under CISC. Answer. B. No, unless the delay substantially deprives the buyer of what they were entitled to expect under the contract. Explanation. Under Article 25 of the CISC, the fundamental breach occurs when the breach substantially deprives the other party of what they were entitled to expect under the contract. A short delay in delivery does not automatically constitute a fundamental breach unless it affects the buyer's ability to use the goods as intended, e.g., perishable goods arriving spoil. Y. B is correct. If the delay does not cause significant impact on the buyer's business, Article 49 of the CISC does not permit contract avoidance. The buyer must demonstrate that the late delivery fundamentally altered the contract's intended purpose. YA is incorrect. Not all delays qualify as fundamental breach under CISC. Minor delay does not trigger the right to reject goods unless it substantially contract performance. YC is incorrect. CISC does not allow automatic contract termination for minor breaches. Remedies such as price reduction or damages, Article 50, may be available instead. YD is incorrect. While late delivery can be fundamental breach, it depends on the severity of impact rather than being automatically excluded. This aligns with case law such as Schlettstrom and Schwenzer on CISC, which emphasizes that each must be assessed based on its actual consequences for the contract. Question 3, topic, trade remedies. Anti-dumping measures in situation where resource allocation becomes increasingly complex due to external market pressures. Domestic steel manufacturer in Brazil complains to its government that imported steel from China is being sold at prices lower than its production cost, harming local producers. The Brazilian government initiates an anti-dumping investigation under W rules. Which of the following actions must Brazil take before anti-dumping duties? A. It must prove that the imported steel is causing material injury to domestic producers and demonstrate causal link between dumping and injury. B. It must demonstrate that the foreign government is directly subsidizing the steel exports to make them artificially cheaper. C. It must notify the affected country and allow 30 days for the exporter to voluntarily raise its prices before imposing duties. D. It must obtain approval from W's dispute settlement body before imposing any anti-dumping measures. Answer A. It must prove that the imported steel is causing material injury to domestic producers and demonstrate a causal link between dumping and injury. Explanation. Under Article Romans of the WTO anti-dumping agreement, a country may impose anti-dumping duties only if it proves dumping is occurring. The imported product is sold at less than the normal value in its home market, material injury exists. Domestic producers suffering serious harm due to these imports. Causal link. The injury must be directly linked to dumping, not caused by external factors. YA is correct. W members must conduct thorough investigation before imposing duties, proving both dumping and its impact on domestic industry. Article 3 of the Anti-Dumping Agreement. YB is incorrect. Subsidies and dumping are separate issues. Countervailing duties address subsidies, while anti-duties address goods sold below normal value. YC is incorrect. W rules do not mandate 30-day waiting period for exporters to raise prices before duties are imposed. Investigations must follow due process. YD is incorrect. Governments do not need EU approval to impose anti-dumping duties, but affected countries can challenge the measure through EU dispute resolution. This reflects EU rulings such as United States. Anti-dumping measures on certain shrimp from Vietnam, 2011. Emphasizing the need for proper injury assessment before imposing duties. Question 4. During a critical transition period where existing processes must be reassessed to ensure compliance with international regulations, a country imposes a safeguard measure on imports of steel, citing a sudden surge in imports that threatens domestic producers. The measure involves additional tariffs exceeding WTO rates. Several affected trading partners challenged the measure, claiming it violated WTO rules. WTO, which of the following best describes the legal framework governing safeguard measures? A. Safeguard measures are allowed at WTO but must meet strict requirements, including demonstrating serious injury to domestic producers and applying the measure on a non-discriminatory basis. B. Safeguard measures are strictly prohibited at WTO as they contradict the principles of free trade and national treatment. C. A country may impose safeguard measures at its discretion without the need to provide justification to or affected trading partners. D. Safeguard measures are permitted, but must only be applied to countries that engage in unfair trade practices such as dumping or subsidies. Answer A. Safeguard measures are allowed at WTO but must meet strict requirements, including demonstrating serious injury to domestic producers and applying the measure on a non-discriminatory basis. Explanation. Under AW Agreement on Safeguards, members are allowed to impose safeguard measures to protect domestic industries from serious injury or the threat of serious injury caused by unexpected surges in imports. However, measures must comply with specific requirements. Demonstration of serious injury. The imposing country must provide clear evidence that increased imports are causing or threatening to cause serious injury to domestic producers. A detailed investigation must be conducted, including data on production, sales, employment, and market conditions. Non-discriminatory application. Safeguard measures must be applied on an MFN, most favored nation, meaning they should apply all EU members equally and not target specific countries. This distinguishes safeguards from anti-dumping and countervailing duties, which are directed at specific unfair trade practices, time limitations, and compensation. Safeguards are temporary and should not exceed 4 years, with a possible extension to 8 years. The imposing country must offer compensation to affected trading partners in the form of trade concessions. Question 5. When dealing with a complex system that shows occasional failures in enforcing contractual obligations, a multinational corporation enters into a contract with a foreign supplier under the United Nations Convention on Contracts for the International Sale of Goods, CISC. The supplier delivers non-conforming goods, but claims that the defects were caused by factors beyond its control. Under CISC, which of the following best describes the supplier's liability? A. The supplier is not liable if it can prove that the non-conforming goods were caused by an external factor that was unforeseeable and beyond its control. B. The supplier is always liable for delivering non-conforming goods regardless of the cause. C. The buyer must accept the goods and cannot claim damages unless the defects were explicitly mentioned in the contract. D. The supplier is only liable if the non-conformity resulted from intent, misconduct, or gross negligence. Answer A. The supplier is not liable if it can prove that the non-conforming goods were caused by an external factor that was unforeseeable and beyond its control. Explanation. Under CISC Article 79, a party is exempt from liability for failure to perform its obligations if it can prove that the failure was due to an impediment beyond its control and that it could not have been reasonably expected to avoid or overcome the impediment. Consequences. Key points to consider. Force majeure and unforeseeable events. If an event such as natural disaster, war, or government intervention prevents performance, the supplier may be excused. The event must be unforeseeable and beyond the supplier's control at the time of contract formation. Nonconformity and supplier's obligations. CISC Article 35 requires sellers to deliver goods that conform to the contract in terms of quality and description. However, if failure is caused by an external force, e.g., supply chain disruptions due to war, the supplier may claim exemption under Article 79, while the other options are incorrect. B. Incorrect. Liability is not absolute under CISC. Article 79 provides exemptions if conditions are met. C. Incorrect. The buyer has the right to claim damages or remedies under CISC Article 45 and 46. D. Incorrect. The standard for exemption under Article 79 is not limited to gross negligence. It also includes unforeseeable impediments beyond the party's control. Thus, the correct answer is A, as it aligns with CISC's force majeure exemption rules. Question 6. In a high-stakes environment where multiple challenges affect market access, a developing country imposes import restrictions on certain agricultural products, citing the need to protect public health from potential contaminants. However, its trading partners challenge these restrictions at WO. Which of the following best explains the legal requirements for such trade restrictions under the WTO's Agreement on the Application of Sanitary, Phytosanitary Measures (SBS) Agreement? A. The restrictions are permissible only if they are based on scientific evidence and risk assessment that justifies the health concerns. BW members are free to impose any trade restrictions they see fit for public health reasons without the need for justification. C. Import restrictions on agricultural products are automatically valid if they align with domestic public health policies, even if they lack international scientific support. W members must prove that their measures provide an absolute guarantee of safety before imposing restrictions. And so A, the restrictions are permissible only if they are based on scientific evidence and a risk assessment that justifies the health concerns. Explanation. The SBS agreement allows WU members to adopt measures necessary to protect human, animal, or plant life or health, but these measures must meet specific criteria. Scientific justification, Article 2 and 5. Restrictions must be based on scientific principles and risk assessments. Country must conduct a scientific study to demonstrate the risk posed by the imported products. Non-discrimination and proportionality. Measures must not be discriminatory or disguised trade restrictions. They should be no more trade restrictive than necessary to achieve the public health objective, while the other options are incorrect. B. Incorrect. Countries must provide scientific justification and cannot impose arbitrary health-based trade restrictions. C. Incorrect. Domestic policies do not automatically validate trade restrictions at WO. D. Incorrect. The SBS agreement does not require absolute guarantees of safety, only that measures be based on sound scientific evidence. Thus, they is correct as it aligns with W's SBS requirements. Question 7. Given the increasing complexity of cross-border transactions and the varying legal frameworks governing contractual obligations, a U.S. technology firm enters into a licensing agreement with a European partner under the UNIDROIT Principles of International Commercial Contracts (UPIC). The agreement specifies that disputes must be resolved according to UPIC rules. If a disagreement arises over the scope of the license, which of the following best describes how UPIC would handle contract interpretation? A. UPIC prioritizes the intent of the parties considering their negotiations, prior dealings, and trade practices. B. UPIC strictly interprets contracts based only on the written terms without considering external factors. C. UPIC automatically favors the party with the greater bargaining power, assuming they had superior knowledge. D. UPIC defers entirely to the contract laws of the country where enforcement is sought, ignoring UPIC principles. Answer A. UPIC prioritizes the intent of the parties considering their negotiations, prior dealings, and trade practices. Explanation: the UNIDROIT principles of international commercial contracts UPIC provide a flexible, internationally accepted framework for contract interpretation. Intent of the parties, Article 4.1. UPIC prioritizes the common intention of the parties over rigid textual interpretation. If necessary, or arbitrators will examine pre-contractual negotiations, industry practices, and course of performance. Good faith and fair dealing, Article 1.7. UPIC emphasizes good faith in contract interpretation. This prevents a stronger party from exploiting ambiguous contract terms, while the other options are incorrect. B. Incorrect. UPIC allows courts to consider external factors such as negotiations and trade practices. C. UPIC does not favor one party based on bargaining power. D. Incorrect. UPIC is a self-sufficient legal framework, meaning national contract laws do not override it unless explicitly agreed upon. Thus, they is correct as it reflects UPIC's principles of party intent and good faith. Question 8. While navigating the challenges of a rapidly evolving global supply chain, an international shipping company enters into a contract under the Rotterdam rules. A dispute arises when goods are lost in transit due to a severe storm. The shipper claims full compensation, while the carrier argues that it is not liable under force majeure. Under the Rotterdam rules, which of the following best describes the carrier's liability? A. The carrier is liable unless it proves that the loss was caused by an event beyond its control, such as an act of God, war, or piracy. B. The carrier is always liable for lost or damaged goods regardless of the cause. C. The shipper assumes full risk once goods are loaded onto the vessel, so the carrier has no liability. D. The carrier's liability depends entirely on national laws rather than the Rotterdam rules. Answer A. The carrier is liable unless it proves that the loss was caused by an event beyond its control, such as an act of God, war, or piracy. Explanation: the Rotterdam rules govern the carriage of goods by sea and provide specific provisions on carrier liability. General carrier liability, Article 17. The carrier is liable for loss or damage unless it can prove that the event was beyond its control and could not have been avoided, except Article 18. The carrier can avoid liability if the loss was caused by natural disasters, force majeure, war, terrorism, or piracy acts of public authorities, e.g. port closure, while the other options are incorrect. B. Incorrect. The carrier is not always liable. There are exceptions under Article 18. C. Incorrect. The shipper does not bear full risk once goods are loaded, and the carrier has duty of care. D. Incorrect. The Rotterdam apply internationally, regardless of national laws. Thus, A is correct, as it aligns with the Rotterdam Rules liability framework. Question 9. In response to an economic downturn, a government decides to impose price controls on essential goods. However, domestic businesses claim these controls violate constitutional principles of free enterprise. From a legal perspective, which of the following best describes the balance between government intervention and economic freedom? A. Governments may impose price controls, but they must demonstrate that the restrictions are justified by public interest, proportionate, and legally enacted. B. Price controls are always unconstitutional because they interfere with private property rights. C. Governments can set any price controls they want without judicial review, as economic policy is a purely political matter. D. Price controls can only be imposed by international trade agreements, not by national governments. Answer A. Governments may impose price controls, but they must demonstrate that the restrictions are justified by public interest, proportionate, and legally enacted. Explanation: most constitutional and economic legal frameworks recognize a balance between economic freedom and government intervention, legitimate government regulation. Governments can regulate prices in sectors affecting public welfare, e.g., medicine, housing, food. Controls must be proportional and justified by public interest, e.g., preventing inflation, protecting consumers. Judicial review. Courts often examine whether the price control law serves a legitimate purpose without excessively restricting business rights, while the other options are incorrect. B. Incorrect. Price controls are not automatically unconstitutional. The courts assess their proportionality and justification. C. Incorrect. Economic pop can be challenged in courts if it violates property rights or due process. D. Incorrect. National governments, not just international agreements, can impose price controls. Thus, they is correct as it reflects the legal balance between government intervention and free enterprise. Question 10. Amid growing concerns over data privacy in international transactions, a global e-commerce platform must comply with both the US and EU regulations. The company collects customer data for targeted advertising. Under the EU General Data Protection Regulation (GDPR), which of the following best describes the company's legal obligations? A. The company must obtain explicit consent before processing personal data and allow users to withdraw consent at any time. B. The company can collect and use customer data freely as long as it does not sell it to third parties. GDPR does not apply to companies outside the EU, so the company only needs to comply with US laws. GDPR only applies to sensitive data, such as medical records, not general consumer information. Answer A. The company must obtain explicit consent before processing personal data and allow users to withdraw consent at any time. Explanation: GDPR. Companies handling EU citizens' data must comply with strict privacy and consent rules. Consent requirement. Article 6 and 7. Companies must obtain freely given, informed, and explicit consent for data processing. Users must have a clear, easy way to withdraw consent. Extraterritorial scope. Article 3 DDI applies even if the company is not based in the EU as long as it processes EU residents' data, while the other options are incorrect. B. Incorrect. Even if a company does not sell data, it still must comply with GDPR. C. Incorrect. GDPR applies globally if a company processes EU residents' data. D. Incorrect. GDPR covers all personal data, not just sent data. Thus, A is correct as it aligns with GDPR's core principles of explicit consent and data protection. Question 11. While investigating a complicated issue between different departments in a multinational corporation, a conflict arises over the interpretation of compliance policies. The finance team follows local regulatory requirements, while the legal team insists on strict adherence to global corporate standards. Which of the following best addresses the situation? A. The finance team should defer to local regulations since they have direct legal implications. B. The legal team should enforce global corporate policies to maintain consistency. C. Both teams should engage in a risk assessment to determine the best approach based on legal, financial, and operational impacts. D. A third-party arbitrator should make a final, binding decision to resolve the issue quickly. Answer: C. Both teams should engage in a risk assessment to determine the best approach based on legal, financial, and operational impacts. Explanation: conflicts between local regulatory requirements and global corporate policies are common in multinational corporations. Risk-based approach. A risk assessment ensures that decisions account for legal compliance, financial stability, and corporate governance. It helps determine when global POP should be adapted to local conditions. While our answers are incorrect. A. Incorrect. Local regulations are important, but blindly following them without considering global policies can create inconsistencies across locations. B. Incorrect. Enforcing global policies without adaptation can lead to non-compliance with local laws. D. Incorrect. A third-party arbitrator is not always necessary and may be costly and time-consuming. Thus, C. The best answer, ensuring a balanced, risk-based resolution. Question 12. During a major transformation where existing methods are being replaced, employees express resistance due to uncertainty and lack of clarity on the benefits. What is the most effective strategy for leadership? A. Provide extensive technical documentation to ensure employees understand the changes. B. Conduct regular interactive training and feedback sessions to address concerns and improve engagement. C. Mandate the changes without discussion, ensuring compliance through strict enforcement. D. Allow employees to opt out of changes until they are fully comfortable with the transition. Answer: B. Conduct regular interactive training and feedback sessions to address concerns and improve engagement. Explanation: change management. Employee resistance is natural during transformation. Interactive training and feedback sessions promote engagement, understanding, and adaptation. Why the answers are incorrect? A. Incorrect. Technical documentation alone does not encourage adoption. C. Incorrect. Mandating without discussion creates resentment and low morale. D. Incorrect. Allowing employees to opt out delays progress and creates operational inconsistencies. Thus, B is correct as it promotes employee involvement and smoother adoption. Question 13. When developing a solution that must address opposing needs in a resource-constrained environment, what is the most effective approach? A. Prioritize the needs of the most influential stakeholders to ensure strong support. B. Use a structured decision-making framework to balance trade-offs and optimize resource allocation. C. Allocate resources equally to all needs, regardless of impact. D. Focus on short-term solutions while postponing long-term decisions. Answer. B. Use a structured decision-making framework to balance trade-offs and optimize resource allocation. Explanation. Structured decision-making framework ensures balanced trade-offs between competing needs, uses data-driven analysis to maximize impact despite constraints. While the answers are incorrect. A. Incorrect. Favoring influential stakeholders may lead to inequitable and inefficient resource use. C. Incorrect. Equal allocation may align with actual priorities. D. Incorrect. Short-term solutions can create long-term inefficiencies. Thus, B is correct, ensuring strategic resource optimization. Question 14. In an environment where different components must interact seamlessly, a new technology implementation is causing unexpected compatibility issues. What is the best approach to resolve these issues while minimizing disruption? A. Roll back the implementation and delay until a complete redesign is possible. B. Isolate and address compatibility issues in phases while maintaining core operations. C. Require all departments to immediately adopt workarounds without adjustments to the system. D. Abandon the implementation and seek an alternative solution with fewer dependencies. Answer. B. Isolate and address compatibility issues in phases while maintaining core operations. Explanation. Phased issue resolution. Isolating and fixing compatibility issues incrementally allows continuity of operations while improvements are made. Avoids a full rollback, which may cause significant delays and costs. While the answers are incorrect. A. Incorrect. Rolling back can be expensive and disruptive, leading to wasted effort. C. Incorrect. Workarounds without addressing root causes can lead to inefficiencies and errors. D. Incorrect. Abandoning the project can result in sunk costs and loss of progress. Thus, B is the best approach, ensuring progress with minimal disruptions. Question 15. While examining inconsistencies across various units of a decentralized organization, leaders notice that performance metrics vary significantly. What is the most effective way to ensure consistency? A. Standardize key performance indicators, KPIs, while allowing flexibility for local conditions. B. Require all units to follow the exact same processes regardless of differences in operations. C. Implement a rigid top-down control system to monitor compliance. D. Allow each unit to continue using its own methods without interference. Answer A. Standardize key performance indicators, KPIs, while allowing flexibility for local conditions. Explanation. Balanced standardization. Setting standardized KPIs ensures consistent measurement while allowing flexibility in execution. While the answers are incorrect. B. Incorrect. Rigid uniformity does not account for local operational needs. C. Incorrect. Overly strict control can stifle innovation and cause inefficiencies. Incorrect. Lack of standardization leads to unreliable data and misalignment. Thus, A is correct, ensuring measurable consistency without eliminating flexibility. Question 16. During a comprehensive review of a process that needs improvement, a significant gap is identified between projected and actual performance outcomes. What is the best course of action? They immediately adjust targets to align with actual performance rather than addressing underlying issues. B. Conduct a root cause analysis to identify contributing factors before making changes. C. Increase oversight and enforce stricter compliance to performance expectations. D. Implement drastic changes without first gathering additional data. Answer. B. Conduct a root cause analysis to identify contributing factors before making changes. Explanation. Root cause analysis, investigating underlying issues, ensures that solutions address real performance gaps. While answers are incorrect. A. Incorrect. Adjusting targets without solving issues leads to lower standards. C. Incorrect. Increased oversight does not resolve fundamental process flaws. D. Incorrect. Drastic changes with data risk unintended consequences. Thus, B is correct, ensuring informed decision-making. Question 17. When implementing backup procedures across various departments, what is the most critical factor to ensure operational resilience? A. Establishing a clear communication plan to coordinate responses in case of failure. B. Relying solely on automated backup systems to prevent human error. C. Conducting backup drills only when a system failure is imminent. D. Using a one-size-fits-all approach without adapting to department-specific needs. Answer A. Establishing a clear communication plan to coordinate responses in case of failure. Explanation. Importance of communication. Coordinated responses ensure smooth execution of backup plans. Why the answers are incorrect. B. Incorrect. Automation alone does not address all failure scenarios. C. Incorrect. Waiting until failure occurs to conduct drills is risky. D. Incorrect. Customizing procedures improves effectiveness. Thus, they correct, ensuring readiness and smooth execution. Question 18. In a high-stakes environment where multiple challenges must be addressed simultaneously, how should leaders prioritize tasks? A. Use a risk-based prioritization model that assesses impact and urgency. B. Tackle the easiest tasks first to show quick progress. C. Handle all tasks equally, distributing resources evenly. D. Focus solely on short-term gains, ignoring long-term challenges. Answer A. Use a risk-based prioritization model that assesses impact and urgency. Explanation. Risk-based prioritization. Assessing impact and urgency ensures that critical tasks are handled first, while the answers are incorrect. B. Incorrect. Tackling easy tasks first does not always address urgent issues. C. Incorrect. Equal distribution may misallocate resources. D. Incorrect. Focusing only on short-term goals can cause long-term failures. Thus, A is correct, ensuring efficient crisis management. Question 19. When scaling up operations that experience significant resource constraints, what is the most effective long-term strategy? A. Develop a phased expansion plan that optimizes resource use while maintaining quality. B. Expand rapidly to meet demand, regardless of current constraints. C. Reduce quality standards to keep up with scaling efforts. D. Outsource all operations to external providers to minimize internal constraints. Answer A. Develop a phased expansion plan that optimizes resource use while maintaining quality. Explanation. Phased expansion ensures resources are managed effectively while maintaining service quality. While the answers are incorrect. B. Incorrect. Rapid expansion without resources can cause failures. C. Incorrect. Reducing quality standards damages reputation. D. Incorrect. Full outsourcing can introduce risks and loss of control. Thus, they correct, ensuring sustainable growth. Question 20. During the introduction of new methods where coordination between teams is essential, what is the most effective way to ensure success? A. Establish cross-functional collaboration with clearly defined roles and responsibilities. B. Let teams independently figure out how to integrate new methods at their own pace. C. Implement changes without consulting affected teams to minimize resistance. D. Conduct one-time training and expect full adaptation without follow-up. Answer A. Establish cross-functional collaboration with clearly defined roles and responsibilities. Explanation. Cross-functional collaboration. Clearly defining roles ensures smooth integration and accountability. While the answers are incorrect. B. Incorrect. Independent adaptation can cause misalignment. C. Incorrect. Forcing changes without consultation increases resistance. D. Incorrect. One-time training without follow-up is ineffective. Thus, the correct, ensuring coordinated success. Question 21. In a multi-location scenario where consistency requirements must be maintained, a company is struggling to ensure uniform customer experience across all branches. What is the best approach to address this issue? Implement a company-wide training program and standardized procedures while allowing some flexibility for local adaptations. B. Require all branches to follow a rigid one-size-fits-all process without exceptions. C. Let each branch operate independently without standardized guidelines. D. Rotate staff between locations frequently to ensure they all learn different practices. And so, implement a company-wide training program and standardized procedures while allowing some flexibility for local adaptations. Explanation. Standardized training and procedures provide a consistent foundation while allowing local flexibility for regional differences. While the answers are incorrect. B. Incorrect. Rigid processes ignore local needs, which can hurt efficiency. C. Incorrect. Lack of standardization creates inconsistency and confusion. D. Incorrect. Frequent staff rotation disrupts stability instead of improving consistency. Thus, A is correct, ensuring uniform customer experience without sacrificing adaptability. Question 22. While investigating a complicated issue between different departments, leadership finds conflicting reports about the cause of the problem. What is the best course of action? A. Conduct a structured root cause analysis and gather objective data before making decisions. B. Rely on the department with the most senior employees to determine the cause. C. Assume the problem is minor and encourage teams to resolve it informally. D. Blame a single department to resolve the issue quickly. Answer A. Conduct a structured root cause analysis and gather objective data before making decisions. Explanation. Root cause analysis ensures that decisions are based on data rather than opinions. Why other answers are incorrect? B. Incorrect. Seniority does not guarantee accurate problem identification. C. Incorrect. Informal resolutions may overlook underlying causes. D. Incorrect. Assigning blame without evidence damages trust and does fix the issue. Thus A is correct, ensuring data-driven conflict resolution. Question 23. During a critical transition period where existing processes are being phased out, resistance from employees is increasing. What is the best way to handle this resistance? A. Engage employees early, address concerns, and offer training on the new processes. B. Ignore resistance and enforce the changes regardless of feedback. C. Delay the transition indefinitely to avoid conflict. D. Reduce communication about the changes to minimize pushback. Answer A. Engage employees early, address concerns, and offer training on the new processes. Explanation. Early engagement and training reduce resistance by making employees part of the process. While our answers are incorrect. B. Incorrect. Ignoring resistance increases dissatisfaction. C. Incorrect. Delaying indefinitely prevents progress. D. Incorrect. Lack of communication worsens uncertainty and resistance. Thus A is correct, ensuring a transition. Question 24. When developing a solution that must address opposing needs from different teams, what is the best approach? Use a collaborative approach that considers both perspectives and finds a balanced compromise. B. Choose the solution that benefits the larger team, ignoring the concerns of the smaller team. C. Allow each team to implement its own solution without coordination. D. Let management impose a solution without consulting the teams involved. Answer A. Use a collaborative approach that considers both perspectives and finds a balanced compromise. Explanation. A collaborative approach ensures that both teams' needs are considered, leading to higher adoption and satisfaction. Why other answers are incorrect? B. Incorrect. Prioritizing one team over another causes friction and dissatisfaction. C. Incorrect. Lack of coordination creates inefficiencies. D. Incorrect. Top-down decisions without often face resistance. Thus A is correct, ensuring a well-balanced solution. Question 25. During an emergency response where multiple areas are impacted, what is the most critical step in ensuring an effective response? A. Establish clear communication channels and a coordinated response plan. B. Focus only on the most visible problems and deal with other issues later. C. Let different teams handle the situation independently without centralized coordination. D. Wait for the situation to stabilize before implementing any response. Answer A. Establish clear communication channels and a coordinated response plan. Explanation. Clear communication and coordination prevent confusion and ensure effective action. While the answers are incorrect. B. Incorrect. Ignoring less visible issues can worsen the overall crisis. C. Incorrect. Independent responses without coordination may cause inefficiencies. D. Incorrect. Delaying response escalates risks. Thus A is correct in a well-managed emergency response. Question 26. In a high-stakes environment where multiple challenges must be addressed, how should decision-makers balance risk and urgency? A. Use a structured risk assessment approach to prioritize urgent and high-impact issues. B. Address challenges randomly as they appear. C. Avoid making any decisions until full information is available. D. Focus only on short-term solutions to resolve immediate concerns. Answer A. Use a structured risk assessment approach to prioritize urgent and high-impact issues. Explanation. Structured risk assessment ensures that high-impact challenges receive priority, while the answers are incorrect. B. Incorrect. Random responses lack strategy. C. Incorrect. Waiting for full information may cause missed opportunities. D. Incorrect. Short-term solutions fail to address root causes, thus they is correct, ensuring balanced management. Question 27. In an environment where different components must interact seamlessly, how can operational efficiency be maximized? A. Implement streamlined workflows and clear role definitions to enhance collaboration. B. Allow teams to work independently without coordination. C. Change processes frequently to encourage adaptation. D. Reduce documentation requirements to speed up operations. Answer A. Implement streamlined workflows and clear role definitions to enhance collaboration. Explanation. Streamlined workflows reduce bottlenecks and improve coordination. Why other answers are incorrect? B. Incorrect. Lack of coordination reduces efficiency. C. Incorrect. Frequent changes cause confusion. D. Incorrect. Reducing documentation can lead to miscommunication. Thus A is correct, ensuring smooth operations. Question 28. When implementing new protocols in a shared environment, what is the most effective way to ensure compliance? A. Provide clear guidelines, training, and continuous monitoring. B. Enforce compliance strictly without explaining changes. C. Let teams adopt the new protocols at their own pace. D. Reduce oversight to minimize resistance. Answer A. Provide clear guidelines, training, and continuous monitoring. Explanation. Clear guidelines and training improve understanding and compliance. Why other answers are incorrect? B. Incorrect. Strict enforcement without explanation increases resistance. C. Incorrect. Allowing varied adoption causes inconsistencies. D. Incorrect. Lack of oversight reduces accountability. Thus A is correct, ensuring effective implementation. Question 29. When working in a rapidly evolving industry where adaptability is critical, what is the most effective way to stay ahead of changes? A. Encourage continuous learning, industry research, and proactive skill development. B. Stick to existing processes and avoid making changes unless absolutely necessary. C. Wait for competitors to implement changes before adopting new strategies. D. Rely solely on past experience rather than adapting to new trends. Answer A. Encourage continuous learning, industry research, and proactive skill development. Explanation. Continuous learning and proactive adaptation ensure long-term competitiveness. Why other answers are incorrect? B. Incorrect. Avoiding change causes stagnation. C. Incorrect. Waiting for competitors puts you at a disadvantage. D. Incorrect. Relying on past experience ignores evolving industry trends. Thus A is correct, ensuring adaptability, long-term success. Question 30. In a scenario where a company is expanding its services into new markets, what is the best way to ensure a successful expansion strategy? A. Conduct thorough market research, understand local regulations, and tailor strategies accordingly. B. Use the same strategy across all markets without modifications. C. Expand as quickly as possible without analyzing customer preferences. D. Focus only on short-term gains rather than long-term sustainability. Answer A. Conduct thorough market research, understand local regulations, and tailor strategies accordingly. Explanation. Market research and localized strategies ensure effective expansion and customer engagement. While our answers are incorrect. B. Incorrect. A one-size-fits-all approach ignores local differences. C. Incorrect. Rapid expansion without planning increases risks. D. Incorrect. Focusing only on short-term gains may lead to long failure. Thus A is correct, ensuring sustainable business growth.